finished welding up the exhaust manifold, and holy smokes, check this ugly weld out. So I didn't realise that when I tacked it up, I tacked this side here, and underneath there, this here was against the motor. I didn't realise there was a massive gap, so I had to fill it up. So what I'm going to do now is grind it back out and then re-weld it up again. And I used a bit of gasket material here to make a little purge bung. Worked pretty well. So yeah, let's finish it off. So let's grind that one out, and then we're just gonna open up the wastegate hole because it was a little bit too small. So just open it up and that'll be job done. Throw it back on the cart. The exhaust manifold's now onto the cart. I think the wastegate's a little bit crooked, so when you look down on it, I think it's sitting this way, so that's no big deal. We can cut it off later on. And I haven't done the wastegate pipe. I'm not going to weld that out yet because I don't know if I'm going to change it. We might route it up that way underneath so it's hidden, but yeah, not too sure. It sort of suits the complex look of the whole cart, and that's sort of what we're going for now, that everything's all exposed. So all right, the next is we're going to finish off this exhaust. So here we have some of the material we're going to be making this exhaust with. So I put up a poll on Instagram with 3 options. First one was, did you want to send out the gate system and just surprise you with it? Or the other 2 options were, we're going to come across here and dump it out behind the back wheel and have it hidden so you can't see it. And then the last option was to have a cutout here or wherever and have exhaust tips shooting out the back. So everyone wanted to see out the gate system, so we'll make one. So check out the next 2 photos because these are the 2 ideas we sort of mocked up, and I'll show you which one we're going to end up going with. So as you would have seen in the last 2 slides, but the thumbnail gave it away anyway, what exhaust we're going with. You can see we're going for a real technical look. You know, we could have, just like the downpipe really, I've explained it before when we made it, we could have come straight down here, dumped the 90 down and been done with. But I thought we'll put a bit of flow into it, look like a bit of effort's gone into it. This cart here, I'll tell you right now, it's not built around performance, it's not built around trying to be the fastest golf cart, the most powerful golf cart. It's simply here to entertain. And that's why I'm going to touch base on why we decided to go for the other exhaust, well, the one you saw in the last photo, in the thumbnail. Reason being is it's going to come up over here and shoot straight out here. And since we're going to set this up with anti-lag and stuff, it's going to blow some pretty decent flames out the back there. So from an entertaining point of view, I think it'll be the best exhaust for this. We had that other exhaust, you would have seen the first one, it actually looped around and came down. If I was going to run that one, the 2 pipes are actually going to touch together, but I just couldn't tape them together like that because they needed to come out on an angle. So nonetheless, they were going to come around, loop down here, they look really cool. And then they would have dropped down here, but the problem was, it was actually going to hit this frame here. But it would look pretty cool having them notched out here. We could have had like either the 2 round ones or like a square tip. But there we have it. So let's start mocking it all up and yeah, making it happen. So we've done our final measurement. We'll put the level on there, we had a laser on there, measured it all out, and we're out by about 5 mil. So we are 5 mil this way. Reason being is, I think, because this whole manifold's pulled, it's pulled the turbo over. So that's where the main issue was. As you would have seen, that big ugly weld we had on the manifold. And I think it's pulled it all and it's slightly thrown it out here. So the middle side there is easily 5 mil down here because it's probably well over 1 meter out. So as I said, we couldn't fix this to the table for obvious reasons. There's too many shapes, there's no flat surfaces, there's radiuses everywhere. So I sort of just welded in mid-air, just all clamped where I could. So what we need to do is, we need to cut that off, just probably over there, cut that one off, remount it, and then start again from there. What we're up to now, we've cut the old straight section out of the dump pipe here, we'll put a new one in there, just tacked one in. So what we're going to do now is clock this here to get it level. So we've got our lower, what do you want to call this, the diff mount, that's sitting nice and level. So we're going to throw the level on the back of here and sort that out as well. As you can see, it's running a little bit off, so we'll just need to pull it over till we get it central. So then we know that our exhaust tips are all going to be level, somewhere around there roughly. So we've tacked the dump pipe on, we've tacked these ones here on. So what we're going to do now is, these are a little bit too long, so it's going to cut 5 mil off just using a cable tie, marker, cut it off and it'll get us within, you know, half a mil or so, then we can finish off on the linisher. So now we're up to trying to get the exhaust tips to the right length. So all I do is put a cable tie on there, push the cable tie over. So as you can see here, we need to take off 5 mil per tip. So just push it across, mark it out like that, then cut it off with the grinder. So as you can see, there's going to be a little bit of deviation to be expected. That's pretty good this one, but you know, it's never going to be truly flat when you're using a cut-off disc like that. So how we true it up, put the grinder in there, basically sit this on the here while the grinder's spinning. Obviously you can't do that at the same time, and then it trues it up nice and square, and then when you weld it up, you have zero gap. So we'll quickly just chuck the grinder on that for about 2-3 seconds just to give it a quick pass to show you sort of how that little technique works. So as you can see, the grinder disc is touching there, and you can see all the little low spots in there. So it's a great way to true things up, as I said just before, and you have a no gap fitment. So as you can see on this one now, there's no more low spots. They probably took all of 10 seconds or so. Be a nice clean fitment. We're now up to deciding what exhaust tips are going to run. So I'll quickly run through the difference between these reducers here. So these ones here are eccentric reducer. As you can see, looking down there, they're on an angle, so the bore is offset. Whereas these ones here run concentric, so the bores are running perfectly parallel, hence why you got a taper. Probably going to run with this style here. Reason being is, as you can see, if we wanted to run the tips nearly touching each other at the end, we're going to have to space the pipe, these ones here, quite far apart. Whereas if we run this style here, they basically, well, you can make them touch parallel. Therefore we can have these tubes sitting nice and tight together like that. I think it'll just aesthetically look a lot better. Plus I feel, as you've seen on the mock-up, they just look a lot nicer as they flare out. So yeah, and the bin with these gets quite expensive buying all these little reducers and stuff, but nonetheless, you don't know unless you try. So yeah, let's check these on. So how we're going to align these reducers, as you can see, we'll just put a square on that edge, keep rotating that around. Sorry, I can't do it by hand, until it runs parallel, and then you know that's exactly the position they need to be. Here we have it, as you can see, sitting nice and parallel on this side, so we're ready to roll. And that'll be the shape there, so it'll flare out. Exhaust tips are tacked on now. So this is a great example of that fit up we were talking about using the cut-off wheel. So if you have a look at them, there's like the zero gap. Likewise with this one as well. There's no gap anywhere. These bends here start off with a long radius like this one here, so you can see how much material we've cut off both ends, and that's the fitment you're going to get by using the old grinder to linish the ends off. So yep, that's that side of things done now. So put it back on the cart for a final checkup, then we'll weld these ones out and then weld them onto the rest of the exhaust. There we have it. So we've got them sitting nice and flush now. We'll take them on obviously just for the now to make sure, check all of our measurements, and they are bang on. So what we'll do, end up somehow clamping them. I'll put like a bit of box section or a bit of flat on each side, clamp them together, so that will keep them level, and yeah, weld them out. But first things first, we need to, as I said, weld these ones out here first, because I won't be able to get behind there. So weld these out first, then put them back on here for the final fitment and weld it all up. But it's gonna look pretty cool, I think. Something different anyway. I like it from this angle back here. Oh, it's got like, yeah, just heaps of shape and design. So yeah, all starting to work out. So what we need to do now is clock them around. So we've zeroed it out on the chassis here, the little angle box. So as you can see, it's a little bit out, so we need to just bring it up, and then we can make a mark on here. So then first things first, as I've said, got to weld these out fully, and then weld the rest of the exhaust out. So we're going to do that now. Here goes the exhaust all welded out now. So I probably shouldn't be giving any welding advice, but so many people ask me what settings I use on the welder and stuff. So I use, I think it's like, I don't know, might be half a second pre-flow, and then I use no upslope or downslope, straight old school, just straight hit it, 48 amps, and about 6 seconds post-flow afterwards. So yeah, seems to do the job. 1.2mm filler rod. We have it back in the cart, so the only issue we've come across is this one here is a little bit longer by about 2-3mm, so it's not sitting flush. I'm guessing it's probably twisted or something during the whole process, but nonetheless, pretty happy with it anyhow. So we will definitely cut it off later on down the track. But what I want to do for the now is get it all dyno tuned, and we'll make any adjustments later on in case there are other adjustments we need to make. So we're not going to get anything coated, so like even like the turbo, the plenum, it's just going to be the complete raw finish, and that's how we're going to get it all tuned up. And then later on down the track, once it's all done, we know it's running, we know we don't need to make any welds, don't need to do anything else, then we'll get everything coated. So still looking on track to have it done by the end of this year. December the 4th is basically the day everyone will see it, hopefully. So all going to plan, we should yeah, have it at Summer Bash. After making the inlet, so we've got to decide which compressor house we're going to use because we have to weld on a ferrule. So I put up a poll the other day what people like the look of the most. It was either this old school classic Garrett with the logo there and the factory surge housing, or this one I machined up years ago. It's a T51R mod when I had access to a mill and smoothing off the logo. Instagram said this old school Garrett style, and the Facebook polls come up with the T51R mod. So yeah, not too sure which one to use, so I think we might just keep it safe and go with this one here. What we're up to now, we're going to machine the step off and machine it back a bit further as well. Bearing in mind I can't go too far back this way, so I won't be able to get the welder in around the corner there. So yeah, probably cut at least half of it off and then push that back in there. Otherwise, by the time you put that on there, it just makes it really long. Here we have it all machined up, so we've done a taper in there. So this is the same wall thickness as these little ferrules we've got to weld on. So as you can see, size for size now. So basically ready to tack it on. Finished machining the compressor cover. As you can see now, side by side, we removed a lot of material. Look how far back it is now. So another thing we've done, you can see the wall thickness is nice and thin. It's the same as these weld on ferrules. As I've said before, like with the plenum, I didn't have good aluminium welding school, so for me, I'm better off welding 2mm to 2mm instead of going this big 6mm here down to 2mm. And you can put that on there, the ferrule, it's size for size with the internal diameter, and outside is like for like as well. I just need to machine the 45 on, forgot to do that, so I'll throw that back in there now. And then yeah, we can weld that on, and next part will be weld the Wiggins ferrule onto here, intercooler clamp. Not too sure if these ferrules are supposed to look like this. I thought they're supposed to be round. But anyway, what happened was I welded that on there and the weld wasn't that nice. You may have seen on Instagram, so I thought I'll part it off, but I ended up parting the whole compressor housing out of the lathe and she shot off. So nonetheless, I had to make a new ferrule as I only had one of them, so I made a whole new one, made it a little bit longer this time. So in case I don't like it, I have one more shot at parting it off. I'll probably use the grinder this time, but part it off and re-weld it again. So basically 2 more attempts at welding this after this compressor housing stuff, because we didn't have much more material left here because I had to clean up the weld on there, and also I won't be able to get the TIG gun in there any lower. So well, yeah, basically I've only got this one shot coming to think about it, so let's give it a go. Here we have the new ferrule welded on now. Still not the best looking weld, but it's better than the last one. So the reason why I really want to get this weld looking nice, because it's probably going to be the main weld everyone's going to see, because let's be real, the whole highlight of this cart is basically that exhaust and the turbo. So you know, it's like a caravan, people love taking photos of turbos, so it's where all your workmanship's going to be all eyes on that part there. So nonetheless, we can now move on to, well, we welded this one on, so I actually welded this on the inside here, so it was all seamless here, so there's no ugly weld on the outside. And yeah, it goes like that. Put the clamp around, and that's basically it. So what we're going to do now is make our filter. So my thoughts on the filter, what we're going to do is basically like a turbo guard, but I didn't want the ugly hose clamp. So what I'm going to do, machine up some aluminium, and it's going to be a tap fit in there, and we'll do a grub screw from underneath to hold it in there. Basically just a tap fit alone will be enough to locate there without it falling in. So yeah, we'll go and try and figure something out now. So here goes the start of the filter that we've made. So as you can see here, that line there is where we're going to be parting it off. We need to make it a 2-piece because we need to be able to sandwich the mesh that's going to go between there to utilize as the filter. What are we going to do now? So we're going to drill out the holes. So we're using M4 cap screws. We'll recess them in there, and then once that's all done, then we can part it off, and then that'll be job done. Here's the filter base put in. As you can see, the taper's all size for size, likewise with the outside there. The only issue is just due to that radius there, we've got about a 1/2 mm lip on the other inside, but nonetheless, no big deal. We've also put a recess in there. Reason being is we need somewhere for the mesh to go and sandwich it with this top cap. So say if we had a flat surface and another flat surface, you'll have a gap there and you'll be able to see the mesh squeezing through there. So let's assemble it and put it on the cart, and yeah, basically call that a job done. Here goes the filter all done now. As you can see, we've got a bit of mesh in there. We found that in the kitchen, just a little strainer, so just cut it out, threw it in there. So it all makes sense now why we needed that recess. As you can see, there's no gap there because the mesh ain't popping through there. So what we're up to next is we're going to mock up a 90-degree bend to see if we're gonna put it up here, the tube, the intake, sorry, or I'll do another mock-up to have a little bit of extra straight just to bring it slightly out over here a little bit more. So we'll have another play around, but basically the hard part's done, so happy as.